I'm Christy, and I just want to hop on, to do a live stream because I feel inspired. I've been watching a channel called Our Upcycled Life, and I really love it. I'm super geeking out over it because while they do, like crafty stuff and everything, she does a lot of junk journal stuff too. And some of the things I'm really excited about are things that I can use my, all of the supplies that I've gotten from my mom. And let me turn the light up a little bit because it's pretty gloomy around here today. And sorry, I'm off camera. I'm just not. I am not looking camera ready today. So, not really going to do anything. I'm just going to, make things and think out loud. There's no agenda here. I just want to play around. So if you want a body double and someone to hang out with, I'm here. And let me get on to, I want to show you guys some stuff, but real quick, I want to hop on and to my channel and make sure everything's feeling right. It looks like everything's okay, but let me just make sure. I want to. Yep. Okay. I heard my voice. So now let me go over here. And I'm going to go ahead and get started, but I want to make sure that I can see your chat and also see my video. Okay, great. So these are a couple things that I have made over the past few days. I've been pretty quiet lately, and part of that is, just not feeling very well, physically. So I've just been kind of digging in and doing my own thing and stuff. And I just wanted to kind of show you some of the things that I've made. This paper I made using a technique by Our Upcycled Life, and I'm hoping to do that right here in front of you. Don't worry, you don't have to do any of these things. I just kind of want to goof around. This is a paper that I made out of a napkin, and a piece of, matter of fact, the base for all of these things has been this paper, and it's just a couple of pads I got from my mom's stuff, and they're perfect because I didn't have to coffee stain anything. It just was already kind of, patinaed and everything all ready to go. So here's a couple things I made out of a napkin. Another one I made out of a napkin on one of those pages, and I did some sewing around the edges, and I think it looks really cool. A couple other things that I made are also full pages, but I made this one with some dried flowers and some herbs and things like that. And also this one was made with shreds of this ribbon, because this satin ribbon will shred really well. I don't know if I can find that page. Yeah, here it is. This satin ribbon, if you have any of it, it shreds really well. Sometimes it takes a little doing, but it's nice for extra threads to use. And but it takes, like I said, it takes a little doing. I got the easy parts off, and now I'm gonna have to be a little more careful. But I just love this color, and for scraps of thread, that's a really good use. And this turned out really cool. I like it a lot. And the cover of it, or the top of it, was sorry for the extra noise if you can hear that. That's Bella being noisy. The top of this was actually tissue paper, and I used the same tissue paper here, so that's really nice. These leaves are a tissue paper, and then of course some book pages. And I am planning on actually making out of all of these little folders, I'm planning on making some of these that I showed you in the beginning. Just some little signature type things with a bookmark or something like that. And I don't know what I'm going to do with all of them, but I just really do like the simplicity of them and the beauty. Okay, and so some of the other pages I did where I did quite a few of these, and you know, just all kinds of different sizes of those. I did this with some vintage Christmas paper that I've been hanging on to. This one I did, and also this one here I did with some dried flowers that I've been hanging on to for a long time, and herbs and things. And the last one, I did this with some tissue paper. And so I have a lot of this kind of stuff, and it seems like it takes forever for me to get around to using those things. So that's what I want to do today. Like I said, I'm not really teaching technique, but you're welcome to ask questions. I'm just going to play around for a while and just enjoy my day. And I'll be here until I'm done being here, I guess. So, let me put some, I'm using wax paper here just to protect my desk area. And what this is a 2-to-1 glue, just a white glue with water. And if you're here, say hey. If not, don't worry about it. You know, we're all just here chilling. All right, so I'm going to get my paper. And I'm going to go ahead and just use this paper that I was using last night. I don't know why I have only a square, but that's 100% okay. I want to get a really good layer on here. All right. Let's look at our dried flowers. Uh-oh. Looks like I smashed some. I really love the combination of white and off-white, like this sort of combination. So I'm just going to pull these little guys off of here. Just place them all around. It's a good idea to have some, maybe some tweezers, just in case they get stuck together. But you know, maybe you don't care. Maybe I don't care. And now I'm going to get these little sticks broken up. Oops. We'll leave it there. I don't want to get my hands in all that. I'm going to try to make sure that you're able to see. Alright, let's see. This is a cool little thing here. This is almost like velvet. And then I got these dried flowers, pressed flowers from Temu, and so I've just been kind of sitting on these for a long time, not doing anything with them, saving them for a rainy day, right? Well, over here today is a rainy day, and my house is very quiet right now, and this is a perfect time for being creative. Oops. Bring it over to here. So that looks pretty. And now I'm going to use just some old herbs. Okay. Oops, that's a little too much right there. Oh well. I mean, at the risk of looking a little too busy, I'm going to go ahead and go with that. And again, I'll go ahead and take my little strings. Just to give it a little teeny bit of color. Excuse me, had a little sneeze there. And you can do as many of these as you want. Just want to kind of make it look even enough, you know. That looks pretty good. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. Oh, well, maybe I'll do this too, though. I have a little bit of smoked paprika that just never got used, so I can add that. I'm just going to use one of these and just sort of and that looks pretty good. Pretty good. All right, so now that I've got that, I want to cover it with something. So hang on a second. And what I'm bringing back are some napkins, and I want a white background, so these can be kind of tricky to get the back off of, but some of them act like they're only one ply, but they're lying to you. I'm just telling you right now. So it's going to take a minute. Bear with me. Here we go. Look at that. Look at that. And so for the sake of allowing this to be the design, I'm just going to go ahead and put this down. See if I can straighten that out. Have as few of the lines be. I'm sticking it all down right on that glue. 1 second. It's destroying some of my flowers. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to use my brayer just to kind of get it all stuck down really well. And now I'm just going to go ahead and cover it again. So the problem with napkins is that you don't want to just keep on painting it, you know, because they can break. It's not usually a really big deal, but it's probably better, you know, for it not to make a hole in it right away for you. All right, so I'm gonna dry this pretty quickly here, but not yet, because I need to turn on my my heat machine, my heat press. Okay, so you really don't need a heat press for this. You can dry it with a dryer on low or something like that. You know, it's not difficult. So, but I'm going to set this aside and we'll do another. This is just the top ply. It might still just be a little too thick. I did one before and it was kind of thick, so let me just start. And it's totally fine to have the wrinkles and stuff in it. Okay, so now I've got that. I'm going to let this sit for a second and I'm going to go put the other one into the machine. Almost fell down there. I have my machine really low on 160 degrees, and so that means that I don't have to be in too much of a rush to get that one off of there. So this one though, it looks like it's probably going to be still too thick, you know, this top ply to show anything underneath, and that's fine too. All right, let me go get the other one and I'll be right back. So I covered this with parchment because when I lowered down the top part, that's the heating part. So I didn't want to use wax paper or anything like that. I wanted to use something that was going to be non-stick. Sometimes it gives a little bit of resistance, but I'm just using I mean, none of it's coming off onto the parchment here. It is sticking, but not to the point that it's going to ruin the top of this, especially if I'm doing it this way. All right. So the next thing we want to do is I want to cut all around, and because I'm using wax paper, it adds one more step to it. All right, let me grab the other one off of here. So it adds one more step to it. Okay, the first one is I'm going to cut around this, right? And then it's not really recommended to use wax paper. It's recommended to use parchment, but I didn't have enough parchment for that, so I went ahead and used wax paper, and all I did here was just to scratch it on the back and just start pulling it off. That way you don't have like a wax paper backing. If you don't care about that, that's fine, but I didn't want a wax paper backing, so it does take a little bit more. A little bit more effort when you do it this way. I'll tell you what, that I probably will be definitely buying some more parchment so that things are easier to do, because this is a really fun way to make paper. I really like it. And it helps me use a lot of the stuff up that I've gotten from my mom's over the last year. And if you're not like me and you don't want to deal with like tedious stuff, definitely use the parchment. But I don't necessarily mind tedious work. It's almost relaxing for me. I don't know. This one stuck a lot more than any of the others, which is kind of weird, but that's fine. All right. These. I may come back and work on this one some more, but like I said, it turns out really pretty, and you can use your, I hope this one works, but I know my other one does. Yeah, you can totally just do the corners. This one looks like it needs a little bit of a trim here. All right, so this is really pretty. I can make a traveler's journal out of this. What I would do first before I made a journal is I would put it in the heat press, you know, for a minute or something to make sure that this crease gets really, really creased. And the reason why I'm preferring that right now, you don't have to do it that way. You can use, you know, your bone folder for that, but just don't do the edges, because if there's napkin on the outside and there's a possibility it can get snagged, you know what I mean, and rip some of the edge out. So maybe I'll do that a little bit later. And we'll do our second. Again, I got this idea from the channel Our Upcycled Life, and you might want to go check her stuff out, because I've been really getting inspired by the things that I found on her channel. I don't know her name, not yet, anyway. Alright, so let's see how this works. The wax paper will generally come up, but it seems like it sticks more at the edges. So again, you can always use parchment instead. Okay, so I'll do this off camera. But anyways, this is what this one ended up looking like. And you can see a little bit of specks in there, a little bit of the smoked paprika. But, you know, as you can see, the print is so busy that it probably just takes away from all of that. But it's still pretty. It's still nice. I'm just going to make a few more of these. These are all just wax paper. I'm just going to go ahead and keep working. Just gonna think out loud for a minute. I'm kind of wondering what it would be like to try to use like something from a magazine on this side, you know. Maybe we do the flowers and things first and then put a magazine, something or other. looks pretty good. Let's see if I can find a quick page that I think would be pretty. And what I'm envisioning is that this would be a cover for a little journal. And so a picture would go like on this side. And I unfortunately didn't pick out a picture yet, but I'm going to. I do have pictures, so. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of penguins, are you? It would be good if I could just quickly find a little flower page. This is cute. I think I'll just go ahead and use this, just because it's cute. So I'm going to rip my page, and I really don't want it to be much bigger than, you know, just I kind of just want to only get the elephant. I think the elephant is really cute. And this is just an old ad from the Seven Seas Cruises. An old this is like an old, probably something from an old Smithsonian magazine, you know. And I still see a little bit of the logo there. All right. So, real quick, let me do the herbs. And also, another thing I want to do is I think I want to add some blue accents. And the reason for that is because, I mean, I'm not sure this is going to look right. No, maybe I need to add a different color accent. And maybe green is just enough, right? I don't know. Let's see. Let's try these lavenders, if only I can get into them. I don't know how they're going to look, but let's see. I do like the way purple comes out looking in a design like this. And so what if we put this guy here? And do we have enough purple on that side? I say we need a little bit more. Okay, so now One of these days I want to try this with like tracing paper on top. I think that would be interesting, but again, I think we'll go ahead and use some tissue paper. And I've got a little more of this green left, and I really, really like this. So just know that if you have a whole bunch of tissue paper, especially the white kind, you're probably going to have really good luck with that. And again, it's totally fine to have the wrinkles. And I'm going to overlap just a teeny little bit over here. It's the back. So. All right, and let's do a quick once over. Get everything wet so it all lays down. Trying to get as even as I can, but anyway. All right, so we're going to stick it in the hopper and bring it right back out and make a book out of it. All right, now we can see what we've come up with here. And maybe let me move some of this glue stuff out of the way to another area of my desk. My problem is I leave stuff all over and then I've got no more space to work with. So if you'll just bear with me and let me get cleaned up a little, I can get moving on the other part of this. All right. Oh, that didn't really come out, did it? That's too bad. That is really too bad. Okay. I mean, it's not like we can't do something else there, but I just thought it would be cool if that worked. But, you know, thinking out loud on the fly doesn't always work, so I'm not going to cry over it. We can always like layer ephemera on here if we want to. All right. So what I want to do here is to cut the edges up because it looks like I might have folded it a little bit off. And I don't want my book to be crooked. So let's just quickly fix that. Here's our blob book, the blob being that right there. So my mom had a bunch of old, notebooks like this, and so I'm thinking about just making a pad inside of this. So thinking out loud again. These aside. And so I am going to need to cut these, but let me see how much of these pages I need. So about 1 inch from the red. All right, I'll be right back. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's go here and cut that off there. Okay. So now this is going to fit in here perfectly. See? Fits very nicely. But there are some things I need to do first to make this exactly the way I want it. So the first thing I'm going to need to do, I can do this with some of these. Make sure that everything's flush on this side, and then I'm going to put a couple of clips. All right, and the way I like to make my tablets. Actually, yeah, I'm going to have to make it right inside of here. And the reason why I'm not sewing this in is because I had to cut so much off of this paper and there's no folds. So I can't really sew it on a fold. If I wanted to, I could take it like this and I could sew it in to the bottom if I wanted to, and then just open it up. But I'm going to try this. And what it's essentially going to be is like a tear-off pad. So I mean, whether this works well or it doesn't, it's just an experiment, and that's what I am here for today. It's just doing stuff I want to do. This looks a little messy. Okay. And so I want to put this edge directly on the center there. And this may be a horrible idea, but I'm going to scoot this because I want to make sure that this really is in that valley, you know. And it is right along there, so let me just add another blob or line of glue. And we're going to see what happens there. So now I'm going to set this one aside. And I may end up dropping it into the machine. That might be okay. But let's see what happens first. And then we've got this one, and I think I'll save that for something else later. And then we've got this one. And this one would be really good for, maybe I could use a little bit more of this paper. And maybe this one would actually fold in half. And then I can show you a pamphlet stitch. Okay, that's gonna have to go a little slower with this last bit. We go cut all these little pieces off here. And we're going to save these pieces of cardstock here for something else, okay? So don't throw that away. So let me see. This looks like it'll go just fine as kind of make this a little thick, I think. And so let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up. Make that quick cut. Okay, so I just put this in the press, the heat press, and the fold is a lot better now, so it'll be easier to work with. These sides are still kind of there's still quite a lot of room here, so I can choose to either cut that off, and I think I might, just by about, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch. And these guys can always be used. They can be glued together this way to make some, you know, something else, some other type of ephemera. Oh, barely, huh? And so I like that, but I'm going to go ahead and just kind of even these out here. And I think that will be, that'll make it much nicer. Okay, I think we've got it now. That sort of cuts off that rounded edge, so I'm not sure I'm going to bother with doing the rounded edges on the inside, but I really do like it on here on the outside, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, so this is a really cool little traveler's journal so far. And now I want to go ahead and measure, excuse me. So I'm going to figure out what the center of this is. And so this is going to be about, it's about 9 inches. It's going to be about 4.5. That's about the center. And then I'm going to go about 1 inch in from the bottom and from the top, and that's just a really easy way to do it. Oops, let me put the holes here so I don't get confused though. And then I'm going to match these. All right. So for this, I think I'm going to make these a little bit I'm going to just dent them in a little bit, because when I go through it with the needle, it's going to give a lot of resistance because of all of the layers. So real quick, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to go through a few of the layers in the first place. I don't want to do that completely with all of the, I don't want to do it with all of the pages, because I feel like, you know, that could make the the hole on top too big, if that makes sense. So let's find, so this is just kind of, I think white would look really cool. So hang on a second. All right, I have a couple of choices of what I might want to do. And one of them is I can use just floss if I want. But the more exciting choice is actually, this is like some old-timey stuff right here. I'm going to need a bigger needle for this, but maybe that's just going to be fine. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, this one would probably work, but there should be one a little bit smaller. Here we go. Okay, so this kind of changes the game a little bit, because let's see. I don't know where all my pokey tools are. Well, oh, duh. They're right next door. Here's the one I'm looking for. I actually should just put this in a place that's much more accessible. And so here we go. I'm going to poke with this. Kind of messing up the paper here, but I think it'll still be all right. So there's that. And what I really want to do is make sure that I can, whoops, looks like we're a little too far over on this one. Let's make it straight. Is to make sure I can get the needle through all of these. But I still know that's going to create, it's probably going to create a problem. So I may just have to go back to this. And you know, the only reason why this is presenting a problem right now, guys, is because I decided I was going to change my mind at the last minute. And that's what happens, is when I change my mind at the last minute, then I'm not as well thought out as I had been. And that happens a lot with me. So, you know, but you know, when I craft, it's usually chill. I don't do anything perfect. I do allow my imagination to to dictate what I'm doing. And sometimes that's good for people, and sometimes that's not how it works for people. So it's all good. So I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of make less than a centimeter marking in there so that this ribbon will be able to go through. Okay, so this is me thinking out loud. I'm probably going to have to do a little bit of this here too. Just going to give it a little place to go. And then we'll see how it goes. We are also going to need this on the inside here. So this one, what I did was I just went over with leaving the dot in the center of the cut. This one I'm making the cut land at the dot, and this one I'm going from the dot over almost a centimeter. And all of these are almost a centimeter. I guess they're probably like 6 or 7 millimeters. So okay, let me buff this down just a little bit. Let's see if I've got a connection with the cuts here, and I do. And so now let's fold this in half. I'm going to wet it a little bit. Fold it in half and see what I can do about getting this through. As long as there's no phrase, it should work, right? But the question is how to do this without, there we go, without a phrase. So we can get started. This should be about 3 times the length of the book itself. To me, that usually comes out a little bigger or a lot bigger than I need, but it's still a good rule of thumb, depending on what you want to do. So let's go ahead and pull this through. Already I can tell this is going to look really great. And this is really just some old-timey kind of, I think it's like a hem something or other. If anybody knows, let me know. I often do not remember the titles of things, so or the names of things, what things are called, and so I don't mind being corrected at all. So I think what I'm going to do is just sort of turn this all around though, so I can get it kind of flat. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just sort of flat. And then I want to go all the way down to here. I'll tell you that I have never worked with doing this wide of ribbon or string or anything like that on the inside. So if it looks like I'm struggling, it's because, you know, I haven't figured out a system yet for using this. But I mean, it's all going to work out fine, really. So what I want to end up with is I want to end up with one end of the ribbon on this side and one end of the ribbon on this side. And you see it's like way too much thread. I think what I'm going to do though is maybe pull, let's see. Is it this? No, it's not that one. It's this side. Okay. So I want to pull some of this in because I want some slack. So if I just kind of go, let's see, I pulled that there. Let's pull from the middle here. And get that. And then pull from the middle here. Tighten that up a little. Is that right? Aha, it's right. Okay, good, good, good. All right, so now I am going to go ahead and tie this right here in the middle, and I think it's just so cute. I'm a sucker for bows on the inside of my books. And I'm going to go ahead and put this back into the heat press. And that's going to give it that polished look. And so I'm going to see what I can do with these pieces. I'm going to go ahead and just glue these two pieces together, and then I'll cut them down. And I didn't put the glue all the way up to the edge, but if I just kind of work it like this, you know, it should get to the edges. And you can also use a like a card to kind of move the glue over. And then I'll go ahead and just trim this part here. And let me go grab the book. Alright, so here's our book. Looks pretty good. Actually, it goes this way. Looks pretty good. And I guess my bow got pressed also, but that's probably fine. And now I'm going to make some kind of a bookmark here. So I want to round the edges about the same. And what would have worked really well would have been if I had put magnets in between, and I just didn't think of it. So I can still do that if I want to. Let me turn it this way because it looks like it doesn't quite come to the edges. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. First. And this actually is a really strong magnet. So we're not gonna, as long as this dries, we're not gonna have any problems getting these apart, getting the edges apart. Sometimes there are problems like that. And instead what we'll do is we'll use our trusty Dollar Tree clips and let that sit for a little bit. I'm going to roll this over this to get a nice thing. And I also think that it would be nice to have like some kind of ribbon at the top of this. Let me see if I can find a part that's not really So I have the option to just glue this on, or to actually tie it on. And it feels like I think I might want to just glue it on this time and just let it just be a flat bow. And so let's see, yeah, I think this is about right. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. And then I'm going to put it in the press. Now, if you don't have a press, that's fine. You can do all this with an iron. And then I think along with that, I'll trim these little guys down. I just spent a while cleaning all of my scissors, and it doesn't take long for them to get dirty again. So then I think the last thing I'm going to want to do with this and I've never done this before, so you know, whether this works or not is going to be, it's going to remain to be seen. But these are actually pretty sturdy. For some weird reason, these are really sturdy. I don't know why. I don't know if how they treat them before, but they're pretty good. So it took a little bit for me to tear the petals off. So that kind of makes me think that this might work out just fine. There's still this little fold here, and I don't love that. But all right. It looks a little wonky, but what you gonna do? It's okay. So now I've got this, and I can open up. Oh, not quite yet. Hold on a second. Let me put this one more time under the press for a little bit longer. Maybe I can work out that one crease on the bow. thought it stuck with glue, but it didn't. It actually stuck because of the magnets. So let me let that cool off a little bit. It's still not exactly what I would have wanted it to be, but you know, we're not looking for perfection here, right? We're looking for, you know, what do we like? You know, what works for me. Uh-oh. What happened here? Something funny happened with the magnets here. I think the glue squeezed out and squeezed these together a little bit. Let's let that just be for a minute. I'm trying to do things too quickly. So I think the other thing, maybe this is just overkill, guys, and you can just tell me if it is, but I might put another bow on the front just to tie the whole thing together. This is probably what I should have done with the first bow, you know, instead of leaving it so loose. Ooh, I kind of dig this whole idea right here. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. Oops. Okay. Let's let that one dry for a minute. And then I think that is an adorable set. What do you think? But let's look in on this guy here. Remember this guy? We didn't actually get to see the elephant. But I want to see if this is, yeah, this is pretty much all bound. Let's see about it on this side. Yeah. Now it's a bound book, right? One thing that could help a little bit is just to kind of flatten it out onto the edge of the paper, you know, but I'm not sure that was needed. So let's look at what could fit nicely. This is kind of nice, and it looks sort of like layered, but I think it needs like a piece of cardboard, or like corrugated cardboard or something like that, to kind of tie it all together. And of course it needs, you know, a couple other things. I don't know what yet. Ooh, I might have found something cool. Okay, I don't know what this even is. It's kind of feels like it is paper but fabric, you know? It's kind of weird. It crumples up like that, and it's almost kind of like the paper, but thicker, the paper that you use for patterns. You know, that patterns come printed on. So anyways, let's go ahead and see if we can stack some things up and get something that we like from this. That's cute. That's cute. And I like that it covers the layer that we didn't actually get to see, that didn't turn out very well. And let's see if I can find something really cute. I mean, you know, I have like 100 of these, but and you know, that might work. But let me look for some more. Something else that could be interesting, that could tie the two together. I don't know. There's something like this. That might be cute. Here's kind of a bigger one that might be much cuter. I don't know. We'll try a couple things and see. So if we wanted to put a couple of bows, I suppose we could do, you know, that one and this one. I don't think I like that at all. That one and this one. Don't think I like that either. I think really there's only room for one bow, and this one might be the one. Let's see. I don't know. I don't know if these bows are even going to cut it, guys. Oh, duh. I can use some of this. Let me iron it quick. So that was really cool. I do love this. I'm still loving this, guys. So, kind of wondering if to plain there. Ooh, that looks pretty cool. I wonder if this bow should be smaller. Smaller and shorter. Maybe up here. I don't know. I'm really digging this paper here, so let me just sort of get this on here so it's not slipping around. Okay. Let's make sure this one gets to stick out way above this, like that. I love that whole contrast thing here. This, I don't know, I think it's actually this that doesn't go. Hang on. It's a little too light. I've got this little flower. And this little bow I could make shorter. I don't know if the flower and the bow are just what's bothering me. Is that I don't love the... Dang, I wish I could figure it out. Well, I think I'm just going to go ahead and settle because I will likely be second guessing myself for another half an hour, so I think I'm going to stop there. And let my brain rest. So this is a flower that I made. I'm not sure if I have it on camera. Oh, does that go in the middle? Yes, it does. That's so funny. I made this little flower out of what you call it, tissue paper. That same one that I used on the top of here, I'm pretty sure. I really do like that color. This is super cute, guys. So then when you open it, I mean, I think this doesn't need to be this wide. And maybe I can tear a little bit out off of the bottom and stuff here to make it not look so like it's swallowing everything up. But anyhow, let's look inside. And inside, I guess this front one got kind of glued on, but the rest of them after that look like they'll... Uh-oh, what happened here? Well, they don't look like they'll tear out, but that's actually a good thing. That actually means that the whole thing is just bound. Sometimes when I make them like this, I'll make tablets. They end up coming out like tablets, which is also great. So here's one of those. And so when you tear a page off, it tears off like a tablet, right? And that's great. But this, I don't think I want it to be that way. I don't think I want it to tear off. I think I want all the pages to stay in. So, there we go. So now let's take a look at the two items that I made today. Oops. And there we go. All right, I'm done here, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.